Throughout the last decade, we have seen so many no-wheelie bar street tire motorcycles competing out here on the drag strip, going very fast. Now, a key component to their success is the suspension. Here's the man who makes that happen, Marcus McBain from M2 Shocks. Everybody who runs your shocks just talks about how great the ride is and how important you are to their performance.
Well, I appreciate that, Jack. And we work really hard to make sure we deliver a product that covers the whole spectrum. We have actually 13 different valving solutions within that shock. When I was working with Bud Yoder and Rickey Gadson in 14 to set the world records on the shock I was building at the time, I really looked at a lot of the performance challenges, especially in Pro Street, to keep the bike tracking down there. And the design of this shock really incorporates the ability to get down track traction. In fact, we saw that on the HDFR bike earlier this year when it ran 673. And the first thing you notice is that thing wheelied right past the 8th mile mark. And that's really indicative. It's tracking on the back half, and that's where the big times, the really good times come from.
Thank you for what you do. And Ricky, you can speak to this. No wheelie bar racing, that suspension is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, the suspension is definitely everything, and especially when you ride with street tires and no wheelie bar. Suspension is if all you got to do, if you put a strut on a bike, you got nothing. So it doesn't matter how good the tire is. But with Marcus, I've been working with Marcus since I probably was the first drag racer. He comes from the road racing world, and he used to work for the competitor that I used to run their shock, and he came here to help me out. And ever since then, we developed a friendship. But it went so far as to me and Marcus was the team out here, and we were trying things, and we were videotaping the suspension. Nobody does that. So when you work with all the other guys, Penske, and they have no representative out here. And when they do, they still don't know what you actually need. And I'm a seat-of-the-pants rider. I can tell you what's going on every step of the way. And me and Marcus would come back, how'd it feel? What did it do? And I say, well, listen, it don't feel like it squatted enough, it did this. So I would take my cameras, because I run cameras on everything, and we put the cameras underneath the rear of the bike and watch the shock. And we learned a lot on that one pass. When I shift, the suspension would rebound too quick. It would hit and come right back up. Marcus says, I know exactly what to do. We fine-tuned it, and that's the difference, you know. Now Marcus is not my best-kept secret, unfortunately, because at one time he was. But I'm happy for him. He moved on, and he said to me, Ricky, I'm going to come back. Just stay there. I'll be back for you. I promise. I'm coming up with my own stuff. And he did. He went around, and he developed his own stuff, and we started with my bike again. Nobody knew what's the M2 shock. I'm like, just watching my bike. And we started with my real street bike, and it went from there. But Marcus is definitely, I'm happy for him, but more importantly than that, he's the best track support you could have. On his own, this man he travels more than I do on his own with his truck when he didn't have a trailer. His truck was just loaded with stuff. He just loves the sport, and he supports it, and he supports the people who support him.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. We certainly appreciate what you do. Make sure you check out M2 Shocks to stay ahead of the competition.